Hey everyone, welcome to Beyond the Pit episode 7. Today we have the frontman of Integrity, Dwid Hellion. It's an honor to have you here. How are you today?
I'm doing great. Great to be here. Thanks,
Yeah,
man.
I wanted to start off by asking you about the early days of Integrity. What inspired you and Aaron to form the band, and how did the vision of Integrity come to life amidst the evolving hardcore scene?
Aaron and I were friends, and we pretty much just wanted to do music that we wanted to hear. There was a lot of music that we were enjoying at the time, but there were some missing pieces that we thought would make it more interesting. And so Aaron and I both have a very diverse musical background, and that was one of the things that made us gravitate towards one another and become lifelong friends. And our interest in a wide variety of music also set us apart from other people at the time because in the 80s that was seen as like taboo. You weren't
Yeah,
allowed to like a variety of music. So we sort of came up with these ideas, and we were like, oh, I really like, for example, like Funkadelic Maggot Brain.
yeah,
I don't
yeah,
think anyone else in the underground punk at the
yeah.
time, but maybe, I don't know. We definitely were. It was a big inspiration for us. That was kind of, those types of influences and inspirations were what helped us formulate what became integrity. And also, I think that when you do something creative or expressive, that it's very important for you to be true to yourself, to be able to um, include what part of your personality is into the project. And
Yeah.
if you don't do that and you're pretending to be someone that you're not, I think it comes across as pretty false and excuse me, insincere. So I try to be as true to myself as I can, but also it isn't really that I'm trying to. I just am that way. That's caused me trouble in my life, but also caused me a lot of great opportunity. Helped me get a lot of great opportunities and blessings over the years as well. So it's a double edged sword. But I mean, to do something where you're insincere that doesn't represent who you are as a person or inside of you, then I think that's a sad thing to do. So ultimately, I just pretty much put whatever I think is interesting into what I do. Whether other people like it or not doesn't really interest me, or I don't care.
Yeah, that's a great way of thinking about it, especially because for me, I like 10 million different genres. I want to do every single one, but they're all so different. So I feel like I need to have like 50 projects. Uh, and a lot of them actually don't really intertwine.
Well, I don't think you should ever worry about what other people
Yeah.
think. Just
Yeah.
make whatever you want because who cares? If nobody buys any of my records, but I made the record that I want, that's all that matters to me. Uh, I don't tailor my shit to other people's opinions or what's the current trend or whatever people want from me. I mean, all the time people, oh, why don't you make the same record that you made in 1994 or in 1997 or in 1998 or whatever? All of my records have been different. All of my records are an expression of who I am. I don't listen to what anyone says. I'll put whatever I want on the records, and people can cry all the time. All that does is make me happy, and I enjoy seeing them sad.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter to me. But
Uh,
but the thing is, I'm not saying anything to me. What I'm saying is natural, and I find it to be alien that people feel that they have to conform. This is underground fucking music. You're supposed to do
yeah.
what isn't normal. You're supposed to be unorthodox. You're supposed to break the fucking rules. And ever since I got into the underground scene, there was always been people like scolding me. Oh, you're not following the rules. You're not doing what we want you to do. Yeah, that's the fucking point. That's why I'm in. If I wanted to follow the rules, I would have a Backstreet Boys band or what's a modern Backstreet Boys band? I don't know, but
I actually have no idea. Maybe
yeah,
still Backstreet Boys,
sure. They,
I
they came back
guess.
around.
Yeah.
Backstreet's back. All right.
Yeah. I definitely agree with that though. I like hate when people tell me I have to conform to a certain sound. That's why recently I've decided I started to get into solo stuff. I'm like fully doing solo stuff and it's way easier for me. because now I can like choose my own sound. Uh, yeah,
You should just make whatever you want.
exactly.
Fuck everyone. Do whatever you want. If nobody likes it and you're the only person that likes it, that's a success. That's all that matters. That's
Yeah,
it.
exactly. Another thing I wanted to ask, how did you first get into hardcore?
Um, I I didn't really know what hardcore was. I was listening to punk and heavy metal music, and
Yeah,
hardcore at the time I didn't know what hardcore was. But hardcore basically is punk and heavy metal together,
yeah,
and that's it. So um, I guess I gravitated from listening to punk and metal, but at the same time, hardcore stuff was included on compilations for punk
yeah,
because the term wasn't really formed yet, or at least it wasn't so common yet. Because there wasn't internet or anything for people to know these fucking subgenres and everything. So,
yeah.
um, you know, I don't think I knew what the word hardcore was until like maybe like 87 or something. Maybe I first heard of hardcore because of Youth of Today. Maybe that
Oh,
was when I heard the term of it. But I'd listened to, like, for example, Minor Threat or Black Flag. But Black Flag, some people would say was punk, some people would say was metal, some people would say was hardcore. But hardcore wasn't a term that came around until, for me at least, in my circle of friends, until maybe like the mid to late 80s or something.
yeah. I definitely think it really depends on the band's album. Like for Bad Brains example, most people think it's hardcore, but they have this one album, uh, and I kind of find it more to be like a mix of like jazz almost and like a mix of metal almost and punk because it's more like higher quality than a lot of their other stuff. And you can hear a bit like of metal in like the guitars. So for me, I don't really like conforming bands to one subgenre. Um,
Yeah.
yeah.
I mean, that's why the Bad Brains are one of the greatest bands of all time because they
Yep.
didn't give a fuck. They did whatever they wanted to. And their early shows, I mean, they were probably the greatest performers all time of any genre of music. The early Bad Brains concerts were unparalleled. No one can compete with that, even to this day.
Yeah, exactly. What do you think?
Backflips on stage. I mean, it's fucking insane. Like there was no band like that.
Yeah,
Still, there never was a band that ever came close to that. The energy the energy, the power, the passion, the music. It's incredible what those guys do.
they're great. Yeah. What do you think makes a good hardcore song? Or just a song?
I'm I'm probably the wrong guy to ask. I'm kind of an outcast in the hardcore scene, I think. But I don't know. It changes every few years. Sometimes people say I'm a pioneer of hardcore. Other times people say I'm a traitor of hardcore because I have guitar solos or I have lyrics that don't match what other folks are talking about.
Yeah, but
Um, as far as hardcore, I would say if you want to talk formulaic, um, you would have to have like a catchy chorus. You would have to have everything sort of build up to a crescendo. And as it gets to the height, the most frenzied height of crescendo, it has to break down into a Sammy Siegler, bip, 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 bip,
yeah.
really great dance part. And where everybody's just tearing the place apart. Like that would be the quintessential hardcore formula, I guess. I've never had this question before, so I'm just sort of by the seat of my pants winging it.
Another thing I wanted to ask, what's your favorite part about being in a band?
Um, I don't really like being in a band. I like being a performer. I like creating music. Being in a band is a really difficult thing because you're
Yeah.
in charge of other people. You have to chase them. You have to make them show up. You have to beg them to show up. You have to beg them to know the songs, and it's just quite a quite a burden.
That's
Um,
exactly why I went to solo. Yeah.
I mean, it's essentially I have a solo band. It just isn't not my name, but
Yeah.
at the same time, I have other people who play with me, and so like sometimes it can be very difficult because it seems that a lot of people lack the passion that I put into it, and it's difficult to to get people to be that inspired. But you know, that's how it goes.
Yeah. Um,
But as far as being making music and traveling, that's fantastic. Meeting new people, always great. Like tomorrow, I'm flying. I just landed here yesterday from Chicago, and then on Friday we played in New York City, and tomorrow I'm flying to Milan to play a show. So I mean, I can't complain about that. And if, in the background, I have a fucking castle as I'm
yeah.
sitting here drinking a Coca Cola, talking to you on the phone
Yeah,
from
that's
Europe.
awesome.
So it could be worse, right?
Definitely. Yeah. What actually made you decide to move to Belgium from the US?
I moved here 23 years ago. My wife is from Belgium, so that's the
Oh,
that's the that's the easy answer, I guess.
yeah.
There's a longer answer, but this is a short podcast, so I'm not going to bore people with my boring life.
Yeah. Uh, Another thing I wanted to ask, what's probably your favorite thing for Belgium that isn't really in the US?
Being able to talk on a podcast and have a castle behind me,
That's,
that's a
yeah,
that's a bonus.
definitely, definitely. And what's one thing from the US that you miss?
Um, I can't say what I've been saying because everyone always asks me the same question. So
Uh,
think of something new. I guess that the difference between America and Europe is that America is not a place that finds things to be impossible, whereas Europe everything is impossible. So if you if you want to try to do something that's a little bit off the beaten path, in America, someone will help you accommodate that. You can say, "Hey, I'm looking to get," for example, you go in a store, you're trying to create a sculpture out of some trash, and you need a
yeah,
specific kind of thing to do that. If you go to an American store, probably they're going to be helpful and be like, "Oh, I can recommend this," and maybe a couple other ideas and help you sort of spitball the ideas. But in Europe, they're like, "Hey, that's not possible. It's impossible." So, and then you can see like what you want's right behind the guy, and it just will still not be able to think outside the box.
yeah,
So, I guess my answer would be in this instance at this time and in this podcast would be I miss people who can think outside the box. But it seems that that's a endangered species now, and even American people are starting to lose that skill. So we'll see how it goes. Maybe it's going to go out like the dinosaurs, being able to
yeah.
think outside the box.
Hope not. I like when bands are original because then you get to listen to something you haven't heard before. Another thing, what's probably one of your most memorable tours or shows?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I enjoy all the shows that I play. I had a great show with Psy Warfare in New York City on Friday, and we had a great time. And the hombre was blasting people in the face with fire sparks from his
Yeah.
angle grinder, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram and I was like, holy crap. That looked so awesome. Uh,
Yeah,
if you guys ever come over here to Massachusetts sometime, I definitely want to go to that. That
yeah.
seems really
I hope we
awesome.
do one day. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You probably talked about this a bunch of times, but where do you get the name Dwid from?
Yeah, I've talked about this almost every
Yeah.
podcast, but the short story is I grew up in Indiana, and then when I was about 12 or 13 years old, my mother and father had split up, and my father got custody of me, and I would have been 12 or 13 years old at the time in 1984. So I was moving to from Indiana to Louisville, Kentucky, and Louisville, Kentucky at the time had a uh, pretty strong underground punk scene,
Yeah,
and there was a place there that was called Charlie's Pizzeria that would have punk shows in the pizza shop, and they would also sell pitchers of beer to anyone of any age for a couple of bucks. I don't remember
that's
how much it was,
crazy.
but it was maybe like $2 for a big pitcher, like the big ones. And so I
Yeah.
was a little kid trying to be cool, and this was a time where like people who were into punk music would have like mohawks and spiky hair, and I guess people now would associate it with like hip hop guys are doing the spiky hair, like the Liberty spikes and stuff
Yeah,
now.
yeah, yeah.
But that was originally in the punk scene, and so like people who had spiky hair would be called Spike. People who had you know colored hair would be named after the color of their hair. And if you some punk guys would have like a rat, pet rat, and then they would call them Rat, for example, stuff like that. So that's the setup for where this is going to go. So I was 13 years old and I was watching one of the local punk bands play, and they were the cooler older boys, and they had a band called Maurice, and the singer's name was Rat. And um, I had drank the pitcher of beer, and I went up to the cool older boys to say something cool. And I wanted to say, "Hey, dudes, good show," or something of the equivalent. And because I was drunk, I ended up saying, "Hey, Dwids," and then
Yeah.
they laughed and pointed at me, and then I got that nickname.
Uh,
So
yeah. Well, I mean, you stuck with it.
yeah, I mean that's how it happen when you get a nickname that's unflattering. It usually sticks with you. And
Yeah.
then Hellion means like a troublemaker. So
Yeah.
that's where the name derived from. It's a funny thing, and Rat is an amazing dude, and he had several great bands. One of his great bands was called King Horse, and I love those guys.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Are you into like any like newer bands, like any newer like alternative bands from that started 2010s or started recently?
I'm into a lot of bands. Some are new, some are old. I don't know when bands have started. Um, you want me to list some bands that I like? Is that where you're
Yeah.
going with this?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Um, let's see. And you're asking for hardcore or
Just like alternative in general. Could be hardcore, metal, punk.
okay. Well, my friend has a band called Savage Mystic from Philadelphia. They're really good. Um, I don't know. I don't have a list in my head of who I'm listening to. 210 was Full of Hell from 210. I don't
Full
remember.
of Hell.
Maybe.
They're actually kind of newer. Yeah.
I think they're getting older though. I
Yeah.
knew them when they were teenagers, and now they're starting to get older, like me. So
Yeah.
I love those guys. I don't know. Let's see. I like I don't know how to say it. Sanguise Kabog. They're
Seguishka
nice
Bug. They're
guys.
they're great. Yeah.
Yeah,
They're funny. They're really funny.
I'm mispronouncing it. I like Vomit Forth. They're
Common
cool.
Fourth, they're good.
Um, I really like this band Duma, but they broke up. Um, I don't know. Like
Yeah.
I listen to a lot of different stuff, So I listen to like gospel music, soul music, noise music,
Yeah.
heavy metal music, cock rock, glam kind of metal music. Um, Chaotic stuff. My friend has a band named after himself because he's an egomaniac called Makita, and I like his stuff. But
Yeah.
I'm but to be fair, I'm sometimes in the band. I make the music for some of the records, so I'm biased.
Yeah.
But I think he has something interesting to say, and he has something that's unique that isn't really commonplace. So I think that that's pretty cool.
Yeah. Where are they from?
From Los Angeles area, I don't know specifically.
Ooh, okay.
Everything that I do is through through email and stuff.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Um, if you could pick, what's probably some of your like not it doesn't have to be like top, but what are some of your favorite albums like of all time?
Ooh, all time. Uh, Septic Death needs so much attention. Gizem, Detestation, and MAN are fantastic records. Zao, Final Agony, 7 inches, a
Zao, yeah.
fantastic record. Um, Funkadelic Maggot Brain, as I said before. Youth of Today, Break Down the Walls. I love that
Yeah.
record. Um, all the Black Sabbath records with Ozzy, I love.
Yeah.
There's all the Led Zeppelin records without any exception. Um, I love Charles Bradley's records. I love Pastor T.L. Barrett's records. I love Sid Barrett's records. They're not related to each other, by the way. Um,
Yeah,
I don't know. I could go on. I love White House, all their records. Um, yeah,
yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, those are
Probably
all
more.
great. Those are all
Yeah,
really great. Yeah, I've been really into Black Sabbath lately. I actually have mostly, I think, every Ozzy album before 2000 or something on CD, and I have most of them on vinyl because I collect like
cool,
I can't really show you, but that I collect like so many CDs, and I have a bunch of records right behind me. So, yeah, I love collecting.
cool.
After decades of making music, what do you think excites you and keeps you going about creating and performing?
I don't really need inspiration because I'm sort of more or less a conduit for what I do.
Yeah.
It isn't something that I have to plan to do. It just comes out through me. And my conversational personality, like this personality we're speaking to now, isn't really the same person that makes the records. It's kind of complicated, but it just comes through me, and I'm just a conduit. So it's complicated.
Yeah. I think I kind of get what you mean though. You like kind of don't lose crap motivation to keep going.
I don't have any lack of motivation,
Yeah.
but in other words, like I'm just a guy talking to you now, but when I'm making the records, it's something else. It's something more. So
Oh.
I'm pretty boring, I think. And so when people want to do an interview with me, I'm like, um, okay, if that's what you want, you know. But
Yeah.
um, but as far as the music is concerned, I'm also a fan of the music. I'm also surprised by what comes out of me and the other guys who were making the records, and that's what I mean by being a conduit.
Yeah, yeah,
It's
yeah.
going. It's I'm channeling something else, so it's sort of like speaking in tongues or, being
Yeah, definitely. Do you
channeled.
do you remember like your first show that you played and what was it like the feeling
The first show that I ever played with integrity
with
or
your first band?
I remember there wasn't a lot of people there and that nobody liked it, and
Yeah.
that I didn't care. That I didn't care that people didn't like it. In fact, maybe I was happy that people didn't like it. I don't know. I don't remember having stage fright, if that's what you mean, or anything. It was just, it's kind of like attacking people with words,
Yeah.
confrontational kind of a thing. And at the same time as it being confrontational, it's sort of while I'm a nonconformist, at the same time I'm kind of a champion of underdogs, people who are outcasts. And so there's a bit of community to it to a degree. I don't want to change what I'm doing to fit in with everybody else. I won't do that. But I have a kinship with outcasts. And
Yeah.
I think that a lot of people who come to our shows um, can identify in a similar way.
What's the weirdest thing or like craziest thing you've ever seen at a show?
I mean, there's a lot of things. I don't know. Craziest thing. I've been at shows that turned into kind of big fights and brawls. That's
Oh
pretty
yeah.
crazy generally. Um, I guess those types of things maybe would be the craziest things. I don't know. I think that one of
Yeah.
the most fun shows that I've ever seen, as far as like exciting, that's where you're going with instead of the tragic side, would be when I was 15 or 16 years old. I followed around Youth of Today, the band we spoke about earlier,
Look.
on their Break Down the Walls tour as a fan, not with them in their van, but in a car that followed them around with my friends. And I saw them play at the Anthrax with Bold and Side by Side and Confront and probably several other bands. I can't remember which. And that was a really fun show to see at the
Yeah.
time, especially being that age, because that was one of the first um, bigger shows I saw. I mean, I never went to see like big arena rock or anything like that. I've actually never seen an arena rock band.
Yeah.
The biggest venue I ever attended was one that I was playing at. So that was, yeah. I'm actually, this is kind of the revelation right now as I'm saying it. I never thought about it before, but yeah. I once played like an arena in Las Vegas for Psycho Las Vegas with Down and Exodus and Midnight
Ooh.
and someone else that I'm forgetting. Maybe I Hate God. I can't remember.
I Hate God is one of my favorite sludge bands, probably.
I can't remember the full lineup right now, but we played that, and that was like 20,000 people or something. It was at the uh, I don't remember the name of the arena, but it was like an arena inside of a casino. But the night before the Misfits played that same
Ooh,
stage, that was pretty awesome. And I got to do sound check with them, and they let me sing
that's sick.
hybrid mo- hybrid moments with them. So that's probably my favorite experience of all of music my entire life was being able to do the sound check with them as the singer for one song. That was
Yeah,
a fun experience. And I got to blow all my friends' minds because they were like, "How the fuck did you get to do that?" So,
that's really crazy.
and I felt
Question.
like a kid. I felt like a kid doing that.
Thanks so much for taking the time to chat today. It's been an honor. Is there any words you'd like to leave before we end it off?
Thank you, Dom. And just do whatever the fuck you want.
Yeah,
If you want to make, if you're out there listening to this, and you're a young person or a person of any age that you want to make music or you want to make something creative, just fucking do it. Don't let anybody tell you you can't do it. Don't let anybody tell you it's not good enough. The only person that fucking matters is yourself. If it's good enough for yourself, if you like it, that's all that matters. Don't let anyone tell you that it's not good enough. Even if they're your heroes in music or something. Don't take anyone's advice and don't ask for anyone's advice. Just fucking do what you want to do. Entertain yourself. Break the rules. Make something new. Because that's the only way things are going to stay alive. Being stagnant, being nostalgic, copying everything just gets boring and mundane. Do something new. Do whatever the fuck you want and do it with your fucking full heart, full soul, full passion. And that's the only thing that matters in this world. Because other than that, this is a fucking boring ass fucking life. It's pretty much miserable other than creating. So I don't see why anybody wouldn't want to create, and especially create something unique to themselves. That's the greatest thing. I was lucky enough to accidentally have that skill set. So I'm really grateful that all the weird paths of my life crossed and turned it into this. I mean, all the
yeah,
bad things that happened to me as a kid, all were able to become, manifested into something great through the misery that I've had to experience in my life. And I'm able to exercise those demons through music. So if you're out there and you're feeling troubled or you're feeling lost or hopeless, make something. And if you don't know how to play a musical instrument, smash something and record that and scream and fucking
yeah.
put that on Bandcamp. Bandcamp is free. You can fucking make your own, you can make music out of anything you want. Take a trash can, kick it and scream and fucking do whatever you fucking want and record it, put it out and make people hear it, force people to hear it, drive them fucking crazy.
Hell yeah. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dom.
All right, bye.
Goodbye.